Okay, here's another quick tip, a very important tip to get, the best sound out of your table. And it's sometimes just a real small adjustment. But what we're going to get to is your tone arm, the vertical tracking angle, VTA. I'll explain it pretty easily. When your tone arm, when the needle is dropped down on a record and is playing, the tone arm should be parallel to the record. You're going to get the best sound that way, out of your cartridge. And what happened to me, I have this concept table, which comes from the factory, all preset. Had the moving magnet cartridge on there and bumped the stylus cantilever. It bent it and it pretty much ruined it, so I had to get another cartridge. But I wanted to go up in cartridge, didn't have the money at the time, so I chanced and just got an Ortophone, their cheapest one, to get me by. And took it somewhere, the guy put it on for me and had to adjust everything, including the VTA, which I didn't, realize, didn't even think about it. I just wanted to, have something to listen to till I saved up for the more expensive cartridge. Well, long story short, hated the 2M Red. It was just ridiculous, the sound. I didn't even get through one song and turn around, put the cartridge on eBay, sold it, and then just replaced my cartridge with the same one, the Concept Moving Magnet. And I don't have as much time to listen to as I used to, but just noticed that there wasn't as much punch in the bass. Something was, off on it a little bit. And it's, brand new cartridge. Didn't sound horrible, but it just wasn't, something was off. And all of a sudden it clicked in one day, oh, wait a minute, they probably adjusted stuff. And when I checked, yeah, there was. From the back of the tone arm down to the front where the cartridge is then played, it went down at an angle. So the back of the tone arm was higher than where the cartridge is, and that you can't have that. So I went back and adjusted it, and on mine, you can see that little hole down there in the base below the silver ring. You loosen that, and you can adjust the tone arm up and down, and you just get a regular record. Not the 180 gram or anything. I guess it depends on what you listen to the most, but if you get a normal thickness record, not really skinny, and not 180 gram, put it on the table. It doesn't have to be spinning or anything, or it's better if it's not. And put the needle down on the record and just check to see that it's level. Now the easiest way to do it is get an index card. I just have this piece of paper with me now that has, you can see it has lines on it. You put it on the record and then just eyeball it. If you wear glasses or have magnifiers, that definitely helps. And you can just check it with the lines on the card to see that it is parallel. And when it is, then you go back, you tighten that bolt all the way, and then listen and let your ears be the judge. But it's amazing that little adjustment is huge. I mean, the bass was clearer, it wasn't muddy, there was just something out, there was a little semblance that I didn't have before, and I thought, well, I have to send this cartridge back, something's wrong. No, that little, and again, it wasn't horrible, but just compared to what it was before, it was obvious something was wrong. And if your turntable has that adjustment on it, which I think most of them do now, and it's just in the back, you just raise and lower it. You want the tone arm parallel to the record. And again, you get a index card. The longer it is, I mean, this is just a little piece of paper with lines on it or whatever, but if you get an index card that's horizontal, it's a lot easier to check. And once you do that once, you're set. And yes, there's going to be a little, then you put on 180 gram, it's not going to be the same setting, or if there's one's a little thinner. That's why I just say get a medium record, not one real thin, not 180 gram. and, you know, play around with it. With mine, it's not night and day, but it made a huge difference for something that just takes a teeny bit of time. And one thing you want to be careful with is when you're adjusting this, it can also turn. So you want to make sure, again, that the tone arm is parallel this way too, because this whole thing can shift, you know, either clockwise or counterclockwise. That's one thing you'd want to make sure. So when I would adjust it, I would just barely, you know, take my little Allen key that came with the turntable, barely turn it, and then, you know, check it. I wouldn't just crank it and then the whole thing's just loose. You just do it a little bit, and then you can find, okay, I can move it, just so you can move it, because it's just a tiny adjustment. And especially if you're doing this by yourself, you know, you don't want to have this thing completely loose. There's no way to, you know, to do it. So just loosen it little by little till you can find it, that it's moving. Adjust it, put it down on the record when you know that it's, you know, level again with your little index card. Then go back and tighten it. And then as a second thing, make sure you check that it didn't rotate in any direction. And again, that's a little 5-minute fix on the vertical tracking angle that it will make a huge, huge difference. And you can play around with it. Maybe, you know, for your ears, maybe you want it so it is, the back of the tone arm is a little higher than the front, or, you know, vice versa. But I doubt that. It's set it till it's parallel and listen, and I think you'll be amazed. Because sometimes, I mean, when I eyed it, when there was something, I knew there was something up with it, I thought, uh-oh, you know, it clicked in, wait a minute, there had to be adjustments made to this for that other cartridge, because all cartridges are different. So, you know, I put needle down on, and you could just tell, you know, from the back of the tone arm to the front, it was you know, it was downhill. You know, if the back of the tone arm was higher than the front where the cartridge is. And I just went in and made that little adjustment. I was like, okay, there we go. So that's a quick little tip. You might think something's wrong with your cartridge. If you get a new cartridge, it's not the same. You have to adjust that if your table has that adjustment on it. If you don't, you're going to notice just not the punch in the bass. There's going to be different things with different turntables, but with mine, there just wasn't, I don't know, just like the bass drum, the punch of the bass drum, especially in like the low, you know, bass guitar, just seemed a little, you know, muddy and just didn't have the clarity, you know, to it. And adjusted it, and boom, that fixed it. So VTA is very important and very easy. Hope this helps out.